The recent arrest of Kenneth Cook in MacArthur, West Virginia, has shaken the public and sparked national outrage. At the center of the case is his daughter, Alexzandrea Thomas, who bravely survived years of unimaginable abuse and is now speaking out about the horrors she endured. What makes this case even more disturbing is not just the heinous nature of the abuse, but the years of systemic failure that allowed it to continue unchecked. The shocking arrest of Kenneth Cook, 43, is now behind bars facing multiple charges including child neglect, abuse by a parent, misconduct of a sexual nature, and 3 counts of incest. His arrest followed a disturbing chain of events spanning 5 years, during which he engaged in an illegal and coercive relationship with his biological daughter, Alexzandrea Thomas. The abuse began when Alexzandrea was still a minor and tragically led to the birth of 3 children, now aged 5, 3, and 1. The case came to light only after the youngest child became seriously ill, prompting medical staff to investigate further. DNA testing revealed that the child was the product of a direct biological relationship, thus unearthing the long-hidden abuse. What followed was a swift but overdue legal intervention that led to Kenneth Cook's arrest and a $500,000 bond. Years of ignored cries for help. Perhaps the most harrowing aspect of this tragedy is the number of times Alexzandrea tried to alert authorities. Since the age of 9, she reached out to teachers, police, counselors, and child protective services, only to be disbelieved and silenced. At the heart of this obstruction was her paternal grandmother, who reportedly used her influence as a collaborator with child welfare agencies to discredit Alexzandrea's claims. Her grandmother's manipulation and denial ensured that Kenneth Cook remained shielded. Authorities were swayed to believe that Alexzandrea was inventing stories, despite clear red flags and her repeated cries for help. The very systems meant to safeguard her became her prison, trapping her in a cycle of abuse that went unaddressed for years. A survivor's brave voice following the arrest, Alexzandrea made the powerful choice to speak out publicly on April 25, 2025. Her testimony reveals the emotional and physical confinement she endured for over a decade. "I tried to tell people what was happening since I was 9, but my grandmother convinced everyone I was making it up. I lived in fear every day." She described being denied basic freedoms like owning a phone or driving a car and facing threats whenever she tried to form relationships outside the home. Her father's control was absolute, and her courage in surviving and finally breaking free is now inspiring others. Alexzandrea's statement has brought immense public support and also fierce condemnation of how the system failed her so thoroughly and for so long. The role of systemic failure. While Kenneth Cook now faces justice, the broader failure of child protection systems cannot be overlooked. How could so many professionals, from school staff to law enforcement, fail to detect ongoing abuse, especially when it was reported repeatedly? This case illustrates the devastating effects of institutional complacency and highlights the urgent need for reform. The public is demanding answers not just from Kenneth Cook, but from the entire network of individuals and agencies that failed to protect a vulnerable child. Public outcry and accountability. The revelation of this abuse has ignited widespread fury and a wave of online and community activism. Social media is flooded with posts supporting Alexzandrea and demanding changes to how abuse reports are handled. There are growing calls for internal investigations into child welfare services in West Virginia, particularly surrounding the influence of the grandmother who blocked intervention. This collective outcry has also prompted state officials to reevaluate current protective protocols, with potential hearings and policy changes on the horizon. The message is clear. Those who ignored Alexzandrea's suffering must be held accountable, and similar future tragedies must be prevented. A path forward: protecting the vulnerable to ensure no other child endures the same fate as Alexzandrea. Comprehensive reform is necessary. That includes mandatory trauma-informed training for teachers, police, and social workers to recognize signs of abuse and manipulation. Oversight and transparency within child protective services to prevent internal corruption or bias. Anonymous and safe reporting avenues for children in abusive environments. Stronger follow-up procedures when a child reports abuse, even if family members try to intervene or redirect investigations. In addition to systemic changes, it is crucial to offer Alexzandrea and her children extensive psychological and financial support as they begin to rebuild their lives. Conclusion: a survivor's strength, a society's responsibility. The story of Kenneth Cook and his daughter Alexzandrea Thomas is deeply painful, but it is also a powerful call to action. Her survival and courage should serve as a catalyst for meaningful change in how abuse is identified, reported, and responded to. Alexzandria's resilience shines through despite years of unimaginable hardship. As a society, our obligation is clear. We must build stronger safety nets, believe survivors, and ensure that those in positions of power cannot use it to silence the truth. Only then can justice be fully served, not just in the courtroom, but in the very systems that claim to protect us all.